Good evening and welcome to Talking Points. I'm Esme Murphy. Tonight we're going to start a series that will be airing over the next few weeks, months, and yes, years of looking at what the incoming Trump administration means for you, Minnesota, and also the entire nation. The first topic that we're going to focus on is mining, specifically mining and mining interests in northern Minnesota. And joining us to talk about the future of mining in Minnesota in the new Trump administration is Congressman Pete Stauber, the Republican who represents Minnesota's sprawling and very beautiful 8th Congressional District. Thank you so much for your time.
Well, it's great to be with you, Esme, and it is sprawling and it is a beautiful district.
Absolutely. I think everybody would agree with that. You know, year after year, you have been putting forward proposals in Congress. They passed the Republican House, bills that would expand mining, lessen environmental regulations, and also lift, perhaps most importantly, from your perspective, lift President Biden's 20-year moratorium on new mining in the Boundary Waters area. You've done this every year and it's gone nowhere. Are you going to do it again this coming year in 2025? And what are your thoughts about where it's going to go?
Yeah, well, a couple of things in your statement there, Esme. You said we want to lessen environmental standards. That couldn't be further from the truth. I
Really?
reject that premise. Yes, I reject that premise. It's the duplicative regulations that are hampering the process. And so, as we go forward, I'm really looking forward to the Trump administration looking to domestically mine not only in Minnesota, Esme, but across the nation. And I just happen to be able to be lucky enough and privileged to represent Minnesota's 8th congressional district, where we've been mining for 145 years and we've been doing it right. So as we go forward, we now have an administration that has said and put a priority on mining domestically. And President Trump in the July event in St. Cloud said, we're going to open up mining in Minnesota. We're going to move forward with mining in Minnesota. That's where the natural resources are.
And he indicated he was going to do some of those things in this first 10 minutes. I mean, obviously, you and he are on the same page. I want to get to ask you some more questions about the environmental point that you made in just a bit. But let's talk about what you see happening. And one thing that one of your aides mentioned to me is that this is the number one issue that your office hears about. Tell me about that, and what do you see happening even in the first months of the new administration, and I might add, the new Republican House and Republican Senate?
Well, as we look at the union jobs that will come out of it, look at the environmental and labor standards that will be attached to all legislation, look at the strategic national security interests that are part of this. This is a win-win-win. We can no longer accept that the Chinese Communist Party controls 90% of the critical minerals in this country. They've already stopped selling us their antimony that is critical in computer chip making, semiconductor making, and medical instrument technology. So we have the ability to do a lot of good things here by mining here in the United States, and particular Minnesota. The Trump administration has said they're going to allow mining to move forward, allow the process to move forward. And for me, as may early on in the session, you'll be seeing me put forth a Superior National Forest Restoration that will reverse the Biden mining ban.
Are you confident that that will pass?
It passed the House in a
Yes.
bipartisan session several months ago. I'm confident that it will pass the House again, and then it will move on to the Senate.
And the president's already indicated he would sign it. So that there you go. How soon would constituents in the 8th Congressional District, which goes all the way up to the Canadian border and comes down here very close into our metro area, how soon would people start seeing changes or realize what you see as the advantages here in terms of jobs or even construction for new facilities?
Well, first off, you're going to see an immediate a change. There's going to be a change in attitude. There's going to be a change in investments. There's going to be a change in our thought process. We are going to mine those critical minerals in the Duluth complex, Esme. It's the biggest untapped copper nickel find in the world. And when we ask the Department of Energy, the Department of Defense, what happens if the communist country of China stops selling us their critical minerals? And they say it'll be dangerous and devastating for the United States. That's where we are right now. We need to harness these natural resources, Esme, that we are blessed. They're underneath our feet. And again, the cleanest water in Minnesota is in the heart of mining country. We do it better than anyone. We follow the best environmental and labor standards. And I look forward to this process moving forward. I look forward to legislation, and I look forward to Minnesota miners mining that Duluth complex.
I want to ask you, before we get to the environmental questions, I want to ask you about foreign interests, because you mentioned your concern about China. There are a lot of people who are opposed to some of these proposals that you are, in fact, in favor of, that say these are foreign interests. Twin Metals is owned by a Chilean billionaire. How is that advancing the interests of the United States in what President Trump has made it very clear that he is an America First guy? What do you say about that?
Yeah, first off, there's a couple of things that we will be doing. We're going to have permitting reform. When you have permitting reform, we will mine here, we will process here, and we will manufacture here for our use here in the United States of America. And the fact of the matter is, we again, we can't rely on foreign adversarial nations. So we're going to have permitting reform, which will allow it to happen here in our country. And again, not only in Minnesota, but for all industries, both wind, solar, oil, gas, mining. And then when you look at the opportunities that will come with it, again, permitting reform, we're going to mine here, we're going to manufacture here. That's American jobs. That's American technology. That's monies in union members' pockets for our communities.
And that's something that you say that your constituents are looking forward to, that you've been hearing about for years. In terms of the potential for the opportunity from your perspective on expanding mining, when was the last time this potential existed? How far back do you have to go?
You broke up. When was the last time?
Well,
What?
when was the last time that there was this kind of potential to expand mining? I know, has it been, was it
The last.
the first Trump administration, or then there were democratically controlled things, or does it go back years and decades?
Yeah, so really the find in the Duluth complex, again, it's the biggest untapped copper nickel find in the world. There's copper, nickel, cobalt, and other platinum group metals that we use every day. And keep in mind, because of Twin Metals testing, we have a company now, Pulsar, that is taking over that helium deposit that was found by accident. Now, when you extract helium, they say 3% is economically viable. The pulsar helium deposit is up towards 11%. What an opportunity for Minnesotans and our workforce.
Well, let me ask you now about the environmental concerns. You know what environmental groups are saying about this incoming administration and some of the proposals that you have not been able to get all the way through Congress, which looks like you could get, in fact, next year. They say, Friends of the Boundary Waters called this a worst case scenario. I know that the two senators, Senator Amy Klobuchar and Tina Smith, have talked about their extreme concern about what will happen if some of these proposals that you are talking about and that President Trump is talking about go through. What do you say to those concerns, and what do you say to the people who are, in fact, worried about that?
Well, I want to tell you and the viewers that from this environmentalist view, we're going to do it right. We're going to follow the current laws. They're going to follow the environmental and labor standards. We have the best. There will be no shortcuts in any review. We're going to allow the process to move forward. And Esme, we're going to use 21st century technology. We're going to use 21st century technology. Look at the Eagle Mine in Michigan. It's an exemplary mine. They're doing it right, and they've done it right for many years. And they're 12 miles off the shore of Lake Superior. We can do it. And by the way, Esme, let me tell you something. I think your viewers may not know this, but Congressman Oberstar, who sat in this same spot in 1978, did not agree to the wilderness designation until there was an acceptance that outside the wilderness, itself and the buffer zone, you would not take our livelihood away, which was mining and timber harvesting. That's what we want to do. In the industrial working Superior National Forest, mining is a desired condition.
Well, and you mentioned Congressman Oberstar in 1978. This debate goes back decades, and it appears that we're poised here at an inflection point where things could change in a way they haven't changed for decades for the mining interests. Do you think that's fair?
Well, I think it's going to change in a positive way. Some people think that we're, quote, going to mine in the boundary waters. We are not going to mine in the boundary waters or the buffer zone. That was settled in 1978. With the new technology, we're going to harness these critical minerals, allow the process to move forward, and strategically help with our national security. I'm really looking forward to working with the Trump administration and the new Secretary of Interior, Doug Burgum from North Dakota, who really understands mining and energy on being able to harness these critical minerals that we are so blessed to have under our feet right here in northeastern Minnesota.
The environmentalists who are opposed to your proposals say that the damage will be irreversible. It sounds like fundamentally you disagree with that. Is that fair?
Well, when you follow the current environmental standards that not only the federal government but the state has established, when you follow and meet or exceed those guidelines, you should be able to mine.
All right. Well, Congressman Pete Stauber, thank you so much for your time. Obviously, we're going to be following this as all these proposals that you're going to be proposing and others will be proposing throughout next year and throughout the new Trump administration. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And that does it for this edition of Talking Points. Thank you so much for watching. As always, please feel free to email me at esme@cbs.com with any comments or suggestions. Also, I want to let you know that this show posts to YouTube for on-demand viewing every Wednesday. Again, thank you so much for watching. I'm Esme Murphy, WCCO News.